What's going on, everybody? In this episode, I'm going to make a jig to sharpen chisels and plane blades. So I'm going to be doing this as a tutorial video so that I can show you guys how to do it, just because I figure some people are going to ask. And yeah, so I have some ball bearings that I took off of some old router bits and a drill bit that they fit in perfectly. Now, when I got my drill bit kit, it came with so many bits that I don't mind sacrificing some for using them as shafts. Since it's the right size to fit inside these bearings, I'm going to use this actual bit as the shaft to hold them. And these two screws here are going to go on the sides of it, and I'm going to be able to fit in a plane blade or a chisel. And there we go. So these pieces are going to go right down here. They're going to stay together close enough that they can roll on my sharpening stones. And yeah, so basically what I have to do now is I have to cut out a channel for these. So the hole has to be 1.5 inches wide. So I put that right in the center. And I'm going to make it 1/2 inch high. I've got some marks on this piece of wood from something that I was doing. I was probably using it to clamp a threaded rod or something, I think. So that actually worked out just all right to be right in the middle of that. And I'll make a line straight across here. And a square line up. This ruler is square on the end, so I can use it like a small square. Right there, and another line right there. Okay, I'm gonna go cut this out on the bandsaw. All right, so it's 3 inches wide, 1.5 inch hole in the middle, and this piece, what I want is going to be 1.5 inches high. So I will cut it at 1.5 inches on my bandsaw with the fence, and use whatever is left over for stock on the top, which is going to be 1/2 inch more or less. I'll use that for the top piece, and then these here are just going to thread through. Go right straight through this and thread into this and hold it down. And I almost forgot. It is best practice to drill the holes for these before you cut this, because then it will be all lined up and ready to go. So I am going to do that. So since this is 3/4 inch stock, I'm using the wrong side of the ruler. Since this is 3/4 inch stock, I can go to 3/8 of an inch. Make a mark. And 3/8 of an inch, make a mark. And then 3/8 of an inch in, because I'm going 3/4 of an inch down. I'm going to make a line right straight here so that I hit it. There we go. 3/8. This is complicated. It's really not, but it's hard to do and behind the camera. Okay, so there we go. I'm going to drill these holes so that I can put these in after the fact. screws actually tap into the one that I just used to countersink. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use that one in order to drill the holes in this piece. And then I'll use another piece to countersink, another bit to countersink these so that the screws go right through it. It's time to put the bearings in. So I wanted to go up 3/16 of an inch and be in the center, so that would be 3/8 of an inch because it's 3/4 inch stock and they're 1/2 inch bearings. The 3/16 is so that it's in the middle of the bearing and the bearing is able to stick out the bottom. And you know what? Just for the sake of my drill press not being square, most likely, I mean, I think it's pretty close, but it's probably not exactly square. I'm going to drill from both sides, that way it's as accurate as possible. One might say that this drill bit just dug its own grave. So this drill bit's going to be embedded in this, so I'm going to cut it short. Should be able to actually just snap this right off there. I'm going to clamp it in the vise and use some pliers and snap it off. Alright, so these two bearings have to go on before I put this in. And actually, sorry, one side has to go through, then go through the bearings, and then go into the other side. Now my drill press, I set it as square as it can go. It's not perfectly square, and I probably didn't quite hit the holes in the right spot, so it's not quite in the center, but if I wiggle it around enough, it should go in. Maybe if I start from the other end. It should go in. Eventually. Yeah. Let's see, just use a little thing to tap it. There we go. So that's in as good as it's going to be. I'm going to shove it in a little bit further, and then I'm going to make sure that these don't come out. So I'm going to have to cut off a little bit on this in order for the chisel to be able to actually fit in here and roll. So I'm just using my not as sharp as it could be chisel to do that. I'm going to snug up the screws just enough that it's barely holding it so that I can move the chisel around in here, get it set square, and get it set at 25 degrees. That's what I think I am going to put the chisel at. If you guys have any suggestions on that, let me know. I read online that chisels under 1/2 inch should be set at 30 and chisels over 1/2 inch should be set at 25 degrees. So that's what I'm going to go by because I don't actually know any better. That's actually perfect. So that's 25 degrees, and now is it square? I'd say. I'm going to tighten that up. I happen to put that in the right spot right from the start. So before I go too crazy on this, I need to make sure that these bearings are actually square with that piece there. They might not be. So that is 1 inch and 9/16. And on this side, it is actually 1 inch and 9/16, maybe a hair over. Now, is this sitting square? 3/16, 1/4 inch. No, that's not sitting square, so I didn't put the chisel in square because that would actually give you a skew. So I need to tighten up on this side, loosen up on this side a bit, and then that should bring it in square within reason, within time. 1 3/4. Okay, so that's set now, and this is basically how it would work. Now maybe if you're making your own at home, you might want to make this a bit smaller because then you can get more of a run on your stones, but I don't know. I might modify it later on, but for now I'm just going to leave it like this. So basically now I just need to sit here and go go back and forth a lot on this thing here.